Warning, 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 warning. 3, 2, 1. The FantasyFootballTips.co podcast with Mills and Qugliano.
Hi, you're listening to FantasyFootballTips.co in association with FPL_The Source on Twitter. It is great to be back, and I mean that wholeheartedly. I am the man Mills that was talked about in that jingle right there, and with me is Qugliano.
Qugliano, the legend, the icon, the source of all knowledge, the winner of our mini-league, the champion, the god,
Keep
the
going.
immortal,
Almost like Hercules.
talked of in the same vein, but probably a little bit stronger.
And with us as well is the man they call Dingo. It's Hindy. Hello, Hindy.
Hello, boys. How are we doing?
Good, good. How you feeling about not making the jingle? Not making the cut there?
Not disappointed. Not a regular feature, but I'd like to be a participant this year. So put my 10 pence in every now and again when it's
Just
needed.
repeat, what were you putting in there, sorry?
10 pence. 10 pence. I was going 10 pence.
10 cents or 10 pence?
It's
or...
10 pence. I'll put my 10 pence in. There we go.
It is brilliant to be back. It really is.
It is.
I mean,
already heckled. We were 20 seconds in and normal service resumed, bro.
Fantastic. So, we are back. It's pre-season currently, and I mean, transfers galore. There's so much to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about. You actually said we were going to sort of do a quick recap of what we've been doing in between, but you've obviously gone off the script already. So what have you been doing to fill the gap?
I've had Saturdays back to normal, with the family.
You've got 2 daughters.
I've forgotten. I've found them again. Believe me, I have found them again. They found me. And it's been good. A little bit more golf as well. Getting a bit of golf in there. I've enjoyed that.
Okay, some good scores?
Not really, no. I'd rather not talk about the scores.
Put
it like this.
A cricket team, maybe.
Put it like this. If my weekly fantasy football score was like my golf score on a Saturday, I would be flying. I would have flown last season.
The magical 3 figures there.
That's the one. That's what we're talking about.
Right,
so,
okay.
What about you, Qugliano? What have you been up to in your spare time? You've had all this time off.
Obviously, I've been celebrating. I've been spending your hard-earned money because obviously there's financial incentive to winning our mini leagues, and I won that handsomely by a comfortable margin. So yeah, I've been out spending that, enjoying the finer things in life, and just sort of recharging because it's time. I've won a World Cup now. I've won the Premier League. Can I do it? It's always the hardest thing, defending your title.
Let's just put this into perspective, though. This is within our own little mini-league, which has about 12 people.
You can only beat who's in front of you, mate.
Okay, and that is interesting that you say that, because something we're going to be talking about later on in the podcast is the new FantasyFootballTips.co league on Fantasy Premier League. So we'll be talking about that later, and we will be putting you and maybe us to the test. Hindy, Dingo, the man with the rap from last season. How's your pre-season been? How's your the
off-season?
It's been good.
Some.
No, looking back, enjoyed last season. Not much of a celebration, but most decorated manager of the month within the league, which I was pleased about. Again, financial gain on that.
Must have won then, really, if you've got the most.
No, I ended up finishing third, slightly off, only slightly behind second. But no, it's been good, playing a lot of golf. And like you say, studying Sky Sports News every week, waiting for those transfers, because the most important thing, surely, in life is fantasy football.
He's called it.
I think the first thing that we need to talk about, really today, we're going to get down to business now.
Really today, yeah?
Really today, is the new chip system. It's freshened up Fantasy Premier League, hasn't it? Really excited about this. I assume you're familiar with what I'm talking about here, boys?
I had hit the bottle when I saw this, so I'd had a couple, and then logged on and thought, what is this all about? I'd seen we could get back on there, I could do my transfers, build my team. What the hell is all-out attack? What's triple captain?
Well, let me tell you exactly what it is. There's a new chip-based system, so very much like the wild card, and the wild card is actually a chip now. It's something you can still use. We've got these new chips that we can use, and there's one called an all-out attack. And what this chip is going to mean is if you play all-out attack, for that week, instead of having the normal formations that you have, you're going to be able to have a more attacking formation, which essentially means you're going to have 2 defenders, 5 midfielders and 3 attackers.
Wowza.
Wowza indeed.
Tell me that's it. Tell me there's no more changes than that.
No, there are more changes than
What?
just that. There is something called triple captain.
Go on then.
Wow. It means instead of your captain getting double points for that week,
Oh, I think I know where he's going with it.
Yeah.
they get triple points for that week.
Right, okay.
And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, surely that's it. I mean, this is radical.
They've
This
changed
is
enough.
Absolutely radical. No, that is not it. There is something called bench boost.
Right, go on.
Bench boost. And what that means, believe it or not, is that if you play this chip, you will not only get the points from your first 11 for that week, you will also get the points from your bench. So effectively, you are getting a boost from your bench.
Right, I love it. I absolutely love it. If I'm honest, I don't, but because I like the original format. But it's a new dimension, and it's probably going to help the lesser players maybe claw back some points.
I think
I'm
certainly.
looking at you guys.
Well, you say that, but I think what I think it offers is more strategy. I think it offers more tactical kind of strategy and planning to the season. Obviously, the people are already asking the questions on Twitter and on the website. When do I use them? When's the best time? How do I use them? Can I use them all in one go? The answer to that is no. You can't. You can only use them one at a time, and you only get them once a season. Apart from the wild card, which still remains as the 2 over the course of the season, like it was before. But lots to think about. So, Hindy, I'm going to come to you. You've been a little bit quiet so far, a little bit subdued, some would say.
It's that stumble, that stutter, the merging of words.
Not really. It's the Qugliano and Mills show. Or Mills and Qugliano as it's advertised. I'm just an extra. I don't want to be out of place or speak out of turn, so I listen to
Your
the
thoughts
greater
on that?
knowledge.
What do you think? All out attack, triple captain, bench boost. First thoughts?
Exciting prospect, to be honest. That thought, obviously within our mini league, we play for Manager of the Month, and that's something we all pride ourselves on. Now, that's a brilliant incentive for someone or an idea for me, thinking ahead to the season, is I'll probably think, right, going into that last week, am I in contention? Can one of these chips, when the chips are down, will they take me over the finish line? But all in all, that's it's an exciting prospect and 3 good additions to the league.
Okay, so when the question has been asked, when to use them? I personally think you've maybe with the exception of bench boost, which I think you probably play before Christmas. Surely the other 2 are going to be after Christmas. Sorry, not bench boost. All out attack potentially before Christmas. Bench boost, triple captain. I think you've got to surely say for a double game week.
That's for the patient man though, and I would say based on the majority of players of this game, it's
hard,
September
isn't it? Yeah.
to Christmas. I reckon the majority will have played. You are right. If you're saving it for a double game week, that is the chance. Or you look at there's a fixture. Maybe it's just a tasty fixture where you go Captain Aguero as always. But I do want to finally touched on that there. What about our mini league? Do you want to talk about that format? Because we play a Manager of the Month format as well as the overall score.
We do, yes. So basically the format is we play the monthly scores and whoever's top for that month wins a prize, don't they? You know, that's how it works. And it keeps people interested, doesn't it? Because if you get to February, March and you're hundreds and hundreds of points behind overall, you've still got a chance of winning something. Is that what you wanted me to say?
I wanted you to bring that up because actually with this, that's key, because if you can suddenly put a triple captain on, you've got a stronger chance of winning that month. And that's why I think it will add that tactical dimension. I mean, August games, there's a few games there, so you could have a winner. I mean, I'm speaking to a man that in a number of seasons now has not collected one Manager of the Month payments in Mills. So I'm kind of looking at you. Why don't you just play all of those in the first 3 weeks and try and win it?
Yes, but I also still have the ambition of winning overall, and I don't think that is the way to win an overall season.
Looking at the only thing I thought that you might want to put in or together is once you've played your wild card, surely once you've selected your team and played your wild card, you've selected what you think's a solid bench based on those fixtures. So maybe in working partnership, that wild card and your bench boost. Because bench boost for me is the lesser of the 3. all-out attack. It provides great insight. But imagine you've got two of your players that go on and keep clean sheets and your attackers do nothing. Whereas I think your bench boost is a standalone, complete bonus for what they pick up. So maybe that should be played at the same time as your wildcard. Just an idea.
So, fantasy football fans, I hope that clears that up for you. So we've talked about the bench boost, we've talked about those chips. The problem is, what about the average fan? The one that's saying, but I haven't got a mini league that does monthly prizes.
Interesting, boys. Yeah, interesting.
That was one of the fans. That's pre-recorded telephone conversation. What about them? Well, guess what? For this season, brand new, fantasyfootballtips.co have set up a mini league, and you, the listener, are invited. All you have to do is go to Fantasy Premier League and use our league joining code. You can also, we'll tweet it out. We will also put it on the website. It will be on the article linked to this podcast. But, Dingo, what is the code for the Fantasy Premier League?
That league code is 57114-16422. That number again for you is 57114-16422.
Liquid gold.
Go.
So, Hindy, can you give us that league code again?
He's chowing down on a quality street, isn't he?
The worst possible type. Toffee.
There are other brands available as well. I don't want to exclude Roses if you're out there listening or Celebrations. All is good.
Absolutely. Oh, and talking of
Dairy
that,
milk.
talking of product placement and things like that, we are actually after a sponsor for the league. So if you're a company out there, we have a worldwide following, and it is genuinely global following. And we have thousands and thousands of hits a week on the website. So, and again, that is genuine.
Some of that's actually positive feedback as well.
Absolutely. So if you're out there and you want to sponsor either the website or, more importantly, the mini league, so we can maybe offer a cash prize for the winner, please get in touch. The email is support@fantasyfootballtips.co, or you can tweet us FPL_the source. Now, with this league, we are going to enter a team ourselves, of course, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, Qugliano. You know, you've said you are the best. You said you were a god, or at least a demigod, likening yourself to Hercules. I don't know if Hercules was any good at Fantasy Premier League, but we're going to find out because the FPL, the Source team, is in the FantasyFootballTips.co league. And we're going to be taking on the likes of A Million Chimps, Phil Kane, big up to you.
Scoregasms FC.
Brendan Thomas, the manager there.
Shout out.
VT United, the name of that manager, Hindy.
Good luck.
Vitavat Akarantanat.
Hello to Vitarat. And who else have we got there? Rockies Raiders, Russell Rock, hello to you. Flamingos, Fasaluna Gabenga, hello to you.
And just when you're searching for that, be always good for you to maybe look at the top of the league and you'll see Barocca Juniors managed by C. Qugliano.
Fantastic. So this is how it's going to work. This is going to form a big feature of the podcast moving forward this season. Each week you're going to hear us discuss our team and you're going to hear us talk about how, the changes we're going to make, if any, and obviously the fixtures for that week as well.
With some tips in there, some long shots.
Some long shots, some jabbies.
Some Xabi Alonso long shots. The Delia Smith.
Where are you?
Let's be having you.
Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking at in the Garys of the week, the guaranteed point getters.
And Gary Busey.
So, I mean, I don't know if you're like me, guys. I pick a team. We've got till the 8th of August, and I've already changed it 4 times. That's my own personal team. We're going to try and come up with a team today, aren't we? Based on what we know so far, the transfers that have happened. We've seen Falco go to Chelsea. We've seen Danny Ings go to Liverpool. We've seen Man United spend heavily in the summer so far, with promise of potentially more transfers in. We're going to try and pick a team. Let's just touch on the fact, and this has been bugging us all day, hasn't it? We've been looking at this team today. Aguero, 13 million. Hazard, is he 11.5?
He is indeed. With his
Sanchez, 11. To get those 3 players in there, I would say it is almost impossible to get those 3 players in there and have a well-balanced team elsewhere. I would even say it is going to be tough to get Hazard and Aguero in there with a good, solid team around them.
I mean, I'll be looking at you, Mills, the article guru, to
Yeah.
actually be probably putting some stuff out on different strategies, because based on just previous stuff, there's loads of different ways you attack building your first team. Because this is probably the most enjoyable part of the season, when you can do whatever you want. But it's like, I know some people, they invest in 2 keepers. I myself, at the minute, I'm leaning towards just having the 2 keepers from one team. So last season it was Foster and Myhill, and that actually worked out quite well. So 2 fairly cheap keepers. When Foster was injured, Myhill came in. I know the man to my right here is already talking up Petr Cech. So people spend a bit more money there. The same with defence. Ploughing money into the defence and not having any weakness, like spreading the money out there. There's a lot to talk about, and it's going to be a good few weeks of feedback, really, on the way through this journey, isn't it, Mr. Mills?
It certainly is Qugliano, Mr. Qugliano. I mean, it also depends on your formation, doesn't it? You know, a lot of our managers last year looked at the 3-4-3, and I think that is
favourable,
generally seen as being the most positive strategy in terms of formation to go for.
I bottled it last season. I was 3-5-2 up until 11:25, and then I made 2 transfers out. So it can change up until the last minute.
Of course it can. And I think we're looking at a 3-4-3 this season initially as our strongest starting 11. I think that's where we're going to kind of be looking. So let's just touch on the goalkeeping positions then, Qugliano. You know, you just said last season that's a strategy that you employed, having 2 goalkeepers from the same club who are fairly cheap. So a club that's probably mid-table to mid to bottom of the table.
I'm a man that suffers with decision making, and then I hate it when it goes wrong. So last season I started off, and I think it was like Begovic and Krull I may have had in goal, and then I was picking, I'll always have the home keeper. That will be my keeper. Whatever happens, I'll always pick that home one. And then what was happening was I'd play Tim Krull at home, and then Stoke would go and keep a clean sheet, and I wasn't getting any points for it. So it became easier just not having that choice. Take that choice away, it saved me money to invest elsewhere. And actually with Albion it worked quite well. This season we've targeted Crystal Palace with Speroni and Wayne Hennessy. Thoughts on that?
I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not loving it. So straight away we're already arguing about this team selection.
That's a 4.5 and a £4 million.
And that is the benefit, isn't it? Absolutely. And I think we're taking a hit there, aren't we?
I would go Albion. I would have gone Albion. Pulis has tidied them up at the back, but Foster's 5 million, I think he is. So,
and he's injured currently, isn't he?
Yeah, and then Myhill's 5. Is it 5.5? We could probably check on that to be actually.
Yeah, I think he's 4.
Factual. So yeah,
4.5.
4.5. So that's not a bad show, is it? The West Brom. But then
Foster's
you've
a
not
5
got
million,
Foster, and as soon as Foster comes back, you're going to have to get rid of Myhill, really, aren't you? Or have both of them. So you're talking about the difference of £1 million there, which obviously £1 million ploughing that into a midfielder is going to make a big difference. Or it might be the difference between getting Aguero and not getting Aguero. Hindy, what are your thoughts on Speroni and Hennessy?
On this team, to be
like
fair, it
a
wasn't
beer and a whiskey chaser, a Peroni and a Hennessy. Not whiskey, it's brandy, but close.
Again, other brands are available.
Remy Martin, yeah, sure.
Remy
Martin, nice.
With that, it wasn't until Qugliano verbalised that I clocked it as a tactic, and I think it's a pretty strong tactic because it is less decision making, less money wasted, more money for an investment there. Not necessarily with the team
Giving away secrets.
coming into after last season coming in, not many clean sheets, but stereotypically the Premier League doesn't keep all that many clean sheets. Any team can go to any ground in the country and score a goal. So for me, I believe the value of saving £1 million to spend, like Mills, you touched upon there, into a midfielder is advantageous, and personally I'm gonna vouch for that. I do like having both.
He's backing. He's saying he's backing, basically.
I'm backing.
Like it. Okay, so we've spent £8.5 million on our 2 goalkeepers. That's 2 positions filled. That's below average in terms of value, so that's going to give us money elsewhere. So let's look at the defence then. We've said already we're probably going to be playing a 4-3 formation.
We'll talk about that first 11. So we've gone Chelsea, the cheapest option. I always back that again. Another Qugliano.
The cheapest
tip.
option in terms of the starter. Almost guaranteed starter.
So I've gone old Azpilicueta. Backing him is Klein. I like Klein going forward. I think you could get a couple of assists. And based on the fact that Liverpool were awful last season defensively, surely Rodgers is going to be targeting pre-season to keep that a lot tighter. And then I've gone for a man. This is probably a bit of a gamble because I don't know what he's going to be like on the return. But Micah Richards at $4.5 million. I just think that's a good deal at Villa. That would be my starting three with two cheap subs: Cameron from Stoke and Baker, another player.
Yeah.
But that can be anyone, to be honest. But
yeah, I think the cheap Villa defender makes sense. I think they're a bit, especially as a fullback, they're going to be a bit more attacking, aren't they, next season? And Tim Sherwood, we saw that towards the back end of last season. But also, they've actually got a pretty solid spine of the team as well. So there is clean sheet potential there. And it's cheap.
I am looking as well. We haven't fully configured this team yet, but looking at that bench boost, you're probably going to want players that actually play. I know I've seen other teams are like, well, as long as 11 players are playing, it's going to be a good advantage for that week you play that if your bench actually exists and they actually play. So
okay, let's just quickly, I know you said you wanted to talk about the starting 11, but let's just quickly touch on the bench players in the defence then. So we've gone for Baker at Villa and we've gone for Cameron at Stoke. 4 million and 4.5 million. So again, we're just taking hits there really, but again, they're players that are probably going to play.
Stoke over the last 2 seasons, though, clean sheets are in the top 5 Premier League teams for keeping clean sheets over the last 2 seasons. So putting a Stoke player in there wouldn't be a bad option.
Okay, so let's move into the midfield then. So we've got 4 top players hopefully here. We've certainly got. Well, I'm not 100% sure on this at the moment.
This is up for debate again. I'm happy for any fire my way. So Yaya at 8.5. Possibly will sit a bit deeper and won't get as much free movement to go forward with Sterling and Silva now probably stuck up there along with Aguero. But he's a quality player. He does take penalties when he's on the pitch, can bang in the odd free kick. I've gone Coutinho, the player that actually now I think he's added goals to his game as well as assists.
That's the one I don't agree with. Coutinho, I think for 8 million, I think that's ludicrous.
I was midway through speaking, but interrupt me, that's fine.
I thought you were going to start talking about another player.
Fabregas.
Hang on, Coutinho. No, I'm sorry, I'm not having it.
Let me get this
Coutinho
to you.
8 million. That's crazy talk.
When I'm top of the league,
but you
when
didn't have Coutinho on your team
when you
last
come
season.
crawling back to me saying, Quigley, I take it all back, you were right. Coutinho can actually deliver for me.
Right, why would you have Coutinho when you can get someone like Cazorla or Ozil for an extra £500,000?
Well, I'll tell you, I won't be having Ericsson after his shaft.
Well, yeah, Ericsson would be a crazy shout as well. Of course it would. But, you know, Cazorla last season had 168 points.
I'll tell you what, then why don't you just pick the team based on whoever was at top last season? See how
Coutinho got 134.
It's not about last season. We're on about this season.
Yeah.
Coutinho's end to his season was class. That is what I'm saying.
Don't agree with it. Do not. And I'm putting that on the record now. When he flops in the first 4 weeks of the season, and also Liverpool have got a tough set of fixtures,
luckily,
particularly away from home for the first 6 games. So, you know.
We have phones off the table.
Anyway, it's getting a bit heated in here. Go on, finish that off for us, Qugliano.
So then, I mean, again, this is a bit of a controversial. You should be backing players that score goals, not assists. However, I've gone for Fabregas because
he's the assist master.
I can't afford Hazard, basically, and for me, he's the next best option. And then we've gone for the new. Well, they've signed him again. So is it Deulofeu from Everton? They've re-signed him.
That's on Barca.
But that's an actual signing, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, it's like they've signed him. Yeah. So, and what's the price on him?
Just a £4.5. Oh, sorry, that's £6.5 for Deulofeu, and then Bentaleb on the bench for Spurs. Who, again, I'm expecting him to probably feature and to play. But you could find anyone else cheaper. All Brighton, someone like that at Leicester might be an option.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not convinced yet, but we'll see how it goes. What about some of the new signings like Depay at United? 8.5 million again. I know I'm going back to Coutinho, and I know we know that he's played in the Premier League and Depay hasn't, but doesn't he look quality? Depay, yeah, 8.5 for an extra 0.5 million.
I do think, yeah, I agree with that. It's finding room. Maybe Fabregas goes and somebody else goes in, but you want your regular Chelsea starters, and you know that's probably going to be Hazard and Fabregas.
Yeah. My argument there would be to lose £500,000 on Fabregas and put in Ramsey I think stereotypically a strong player at 8.5.
So the problem with Arsenal is they've got so many good players in those positions, haven't they? And they're all kind of valued around the same price, 8.5 million. The only one that is the standout is Sanchez, isn't it? But he's 11, and it's just almost impossible to. Yeah, it's another headache massively. Okay, so let's go up front then. Qugliano, the first name I can see on the sheet there is Aguero.
Yeah, I mean he's got a little orange tab next to his name. You'll see he's a doubt, so I will be monitoring that. But he's going to be the player. Like for me, the first names on my team sheet were going to be Hazard and Aguero until I saw the prices and tried to build a team with those two in. So I will probably Aguero has to go in there for me. Has to go in. Supporting him, I've gone Giroud, main man at Arsenal.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be the starter unless they sign something. This could change. They could sign somebody next week.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Yeah.
And then Benteke finished well, still rumoured with Liverpool. I would probably like to see him move towards Liverpool and reap the rewards of that. Although that would be 3 Liverpool players in my team, at which point I probably would maybe sacrifice Coutinho for somebody else. But 3 solid strikers. I'm a big believer in packing that forward line. I'm missing the obvious one like Costa, but it's balance. Thoughts on that? Fire at me.
That is the one thing I like. That is the one thing I really like about this team. It's balanced. You know, you've got 3. Well, you've certainly got 2 very solid defenders there, and then you've got Richard, who is a gamble but could massively pay off. And then the 4 solid midfielders. I do like Deulofeu at Everton. I think he'll do well. Fabregas, obviously, solid. Toure, yeah, I'm still not sure. I might prefer to pay over him for the same price. Coutinho, I've made my thoughts pretty clear on that. But Giroud, Aguero, Benteke, really like that as a forward line. I think that's a very strong forward line. I don't think you can get Costa in there.
Not at 11 million.
Without faltering elsewhere.
I'd have to take out Benteke or Giroud probably, and then Benteke would be Agbon or something like that. But not really looking towards that. I like my stronger players. You're just investigating something now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm not convinced that Costa is 11 million, but he's actually right. Well done, Qugliano.
Thank you.
He's done his research. He's done his homework.
Yes,
indeed.
he has.
Okay, so you've heard our thoughts on our potential team.
What a lot of ramble that was.
It's terrible. It's back to the usual standards.
I will warn any first-time listener, they're normally about 10 minutes.
Yeah, this is a very long podcast for us.
If you're still there, by the way, if you haven't already gone, who are these Muppets? I'm not going back on this again.
Okay, I mean, sometimes at this point in the podcast, we've even had enough of our own voices, so we just turn to Hindy and get him to do a rap on the spot. We're not going to do that today. I don't think we can do that to him. And time is, we have literally rambled on. Let us know your thoughts on that team. Please pick it to pieces. Maybe give us some tips. Throw something out there for us. We probably won't listen because we do have fairly high opinions of ourselves.
We'll listen. We'll just ignore it.
That's it. So
you're devaluing the listeners themselves. Saying,
well, not.
We won't listen
the listeners. To them. Absolutely love the listeners.
Or what if some of them were potentially not nice people?
I mean, I've already talked about some of them today.
But you love them, each and every one.
Well, I like them.
What if there's some terrible people out there?
Well, I don't know if they're terrible. I mean, I'm just taking them at face value or ear value.
Never judge a book by its cover, mate.
Well, I'm just judging the spine here, so...
Chiropractor, are you?
We could do this all day. Anyway, the website, you should know where the website is. It is fancyfootballtips.co. Article after article, pre-season. It's not, you haven't even got to listen to us. You can just read pure value tips. You need to follow us on Twitter, FPL_the source. That's on Twitter. We have got a Facebook page. You can get to that through the website. You know what? We're everywhere. It's growing. We're big time. We're big time this season.
Are you putting it out there that we are the best fancy football tips organisation on the internet?
We are the best fancy football tips website with fancy football tips in the name.
Right, okay. Because there's not many.
Well, you Google it, do the research.
What will happen if I Google that? Where will we appear, mate?
Probably about 5th or 6th on Google. Out of about
Page
3
1.
million results, yeah. So that's not bad, is it?
That's not even on.
So if you search fancy football tips, you will find fancyfootballtips.co on page 1 of Google. That is how good we are. Hindy, I'm going to come back to you, by the way, for that league code. So please scramble to your phone very, very quickly. Guys, you want to be in this league. Now, we're not promising money at the moment, but what we are going to say is we've got a monthly prize. We will feature you on the podcast, and we may even get a live interview with you if you win and you are willing to come and join in this absolute drivel. Hindy, that podcast, I can't even speak anymore.
The league code.
The league code. What is it, Hindy boy?
The league code is 57114-16422.
That is brilliant, and we will be back very, very soon, hopefully before the start of the season. But if not, you can check the updates of our team on fantasyfootballtips.co. Until then, that's Mills saying goodbye.
Qugliano saying ciao.
And Hindy saying adios.
See you next week.
Warning, 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 warning. 3, 2, 1. The FantasyFootballTips.co podcast with Mills and Qugliano.